Previously, we have created a workflow to send some amount of cryptocurrency from one address to another. Here in the loop, we make a request to Blockchain Explorer to get information about our transaction. We are interested in number of confirmations. Once it is greater than 0, we consider that this transaction is completed. But what if the broadcaster said that the transaction was broadcasted, but it doesn't appear on the blockchain? We don't want to have an endless loop here. It is better to have a timeout. For example, we try to retrieve information from Blockchain Explorer for 2 hours. If there is no data in the blockchain, we consider that this transaction is failed. To be able to cancel some part of workflow, we separate this set of commands and run this part of workflow in background. This can be done with workflow async. It accepts a callable. All code inside this callable will be considered as a single background task. Later, if we need, this task and thus all code within it can be cancelled. Exactly what we need. Now copy and paste this code. Okay, we need to pass transaction ID and hash here. So now this background task is done. Once we define it, it starts running. Then we need to explicitly wait for it with yield. Okay, the next step is to cancel it by timeout. Think about it. Actually, we need 2 tasks running in background. The first one is constantly asking Blockchain Explorer about the transaction. The second one waits for some timeout, and once it is fired, cancels confirmation task. So again, we need workflow async. Inside this callable, we need to wait for our timeout. But also, we want to stop this task, this timer, if we detect that the transaction is confirmed. How can we do this? Take a look. Let's add a flag in the workflow that determines that the transaction is confirmed. The default value is false. Okay, then we can do this. Workflow, await with timeout, let's say 15 seconds. Just for testing, of course, in real life this value should be in hours or something like that. And the next argument is callable. We return this is confirmed here and yield. So what happens here? The task stops and waits till the timer is off or till this callable returns true. Once one of these conditions is met, the task continues. Then we can check that if we need to cancel confirmation task. Await with timeout resolves with a Boolean value. It is true if the condition was met, and false if the timer was fired. So if the result of await with timeout is false, we cancel the confirmation task. So cancellation task is done. The last step, here when we run the task, once it is cancelled, it throws cancelled failure exception. So we need to manually handle it, of course if we want. And we can return a message that this transaction failed. Okay, we are done. Let's check how it works. First of all, we update Blockchain Explorer activity and let's always return null instead of transaction info. Done. Now let's run the workflow. It is running, and as expected, the transaction failed. Now let's see what we have in the browser. We call Explorer activity, then our cancellation timer with 15 seconds starts. Also, the timer from confirmation task starts, this one for 5 seconds. After that, we have the second activity call and again timer for 5 seconds. As you can see here, activity returned null. But at that moment, the cancellation timer fires and the confirmation task becomes cancelled. you see that the last timer is cancelled here. So this is how we can manage several background tasks within your workflow with method async.